pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jenny, you look so lonely down there.
I'm kidding.
Ms. Erickson, will you take roll, please?
Mayor LaKind,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Here.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Fiorito,
Here.
Councilmember Chronic,
Here.
Councilmember Kimple,
Here.
Councilmember Abbott.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, first up, disclosures of conflicts of interest. What's your name again? Mr. Cole, any disclosures?
Mr. Mayor, I received no disclosures of conflicts of interest for tonight's meeting.
Okay, and before us, we have an agenda and a consent agenda. Any modifications to the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I think you're gonna have to tell us, right? Okay.
Councilmember Chronic, are you able to vote?
No, I don't have a vote button. But
Did
yes,
you-
I'm
Did
voting
you
yes.
log in?
I did. I see the vote in progress, but that's it.
And you don't have a tab that's telling you you have a vote waiting?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that motion passed 7-0. First up, recognition, employees of the year, Ms. Vandenhoek.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We normally would recognize 2 employees, but one of them couldn't be with us tonight, so we'll just be recognizing one of our employees of the year. So I would like to call Connie Drager there to come up. Every year we recognize 2 staff members who are nominated by their peers for Employee of the Year. So our first one is Connie. If you know Connie, Connie loves a map. And Connie loves to use her mapping services to help not only staff members in the town, but also our partner agencies. So she's really taken GIS operationally to support our municipal operations in all of our departments, as well as El Paso County and Monument Fire District. She develops great tools that help us with efficiency and coordination. And she was a huge part of helping us launch Cartograph, which is our asset and management program, which will help us largely with a lot of our tasks and how we make decisions. So she has worked really hard on that along with Steve Murray and really getting that started for us. She demonstrates great leadership and adaptability. She recently this summer helped us with the 4th of July, creating a solution for our police department and public works when no other solution was able to help. So she figured out how she could help with a live map in order to help the people that were going to be needing to know where everything was during the 4th of July. She's professional, collaborative. She has a positive attitude. She's great to work with, and she's very dedicated to our community. And for all of those reasons, we want to recognize her as our 2025 Employee of the Year.
Thank you.
Congrats. That's awesome news to hear. And I do enjoy the maps. I've got several in my office at home, and I do appreciate the planning department bringing our maps to current standards. The days of zooming in on a Google JPEG are over. So thank you for that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I could, I would also echo what's been said about Connie. I worked with her, if you recall, in redistricting and way beyond just maps. You know, she collected data, put data into GIS and really prepared a foolproof product that was really unchallengeable. So she did an excellent job on that project, as good as anyone I've ever worked with on that kind of a redistricting project.
Yeah, I do remember that. Nice job, Connie.
All right, next up, we have I'm assuming it's an update on our strategic plan. That will be Mr. Trilk.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and those who in the public who may not know me. My name is John Trilch, and I am a strategic planning consultant that was retained by the town of Monument more than a year ago now to help the town develop a new strategic plan. And my update this evening is a very exciting one because I'm here to officially deliver your completed strategic plan to you and let you know that it is ready for implementation right now. And this strategic plan is the culmination, I said, of over a year's worth of work. I was talking to Madeline. I think we got started in October of 2024 is when we first started this process. And all of you played a part in that. This is your strategic plan. The council played an active role. The staff played an active role. We had many public sessions throughout this plan. And so you succeeded, I believe, in your goal to develop a simple plan that's well laid out, easy to understand and read. I hope that you print it here, leave it in your council chambers for your citizens to pick up, or they download it and they can look through it, and it's an easy, quick read. It's focused. You took the time to recognize that amongst everything you have to do, if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. And so you selected and focused and selected 4 priorities that are in your strategic plan that you'll focus on the next 3 years. And then your staff took those priorities and developed some really solid deliverable action items. And so you have a simple and you have a focused plan, which were 2 of your 3 goals. And now the third part is probably the most important of all, which is the accountability, the implementation of your strategy. And that I have been with you for this year, helping guide you in developing this process, and I could help you do that. But implementation and the accountability is really up to all of you. It's up to your leadership. And I know that after working with you for this time, that the town of Monument is totally up to this task, that we have the right elected leaders in place to make this strategic plan part of your culture. That's what I would encourage you to do. I would encourage you to put the strategic plan out there, put it on the front page of your website, print it, as I mentioned, spread it around here in your town hall, have copies of it in your car and give it to your citizens while you're talking to them out in the community. I had one council member who actually did that. He kept copies in his car and would hand them out. When you go and give presentations and you're speaking in the community, speak about your strategy. Those are the most important things that you're doing that are in there. So speak to that. Put it up. I see wall space here in the back. That would be great to put up some poster size blow ups of what your strategic priorities are so that you're constantly referencing them. Put them in your council packets. So when your staff is putting together their commentary, right at the very top, they have to first note whether their action item is one of the 4 strategic priorities or whether it helps support something in the strategic plan. So these are all the things to kind of keep that strategy up and at the forefront, because at the end of the day, it supports the most important thing for you, which is your vision. And I will again congratulate you. And I'm available. It's down the road. Call me anytime for any help, but subject to your questions. Again, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. I hope I've served you well, and I'm very excited for the town of Monument and for the implementation of your first strategic plan. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to just return the thank you. At the district meeting, was it 2 years ago?
The CML.
Yeah, that was held in Fountain. And you gave a presentation, and Mayor Thompson's leadership and strong jabs to my rib cage about Monument having to go through this and bringing it to staff's attention. And so I appreciate what you presented and what you instilled in not just the council, but the staff, because those sessions were not just invaluable for us to learn and understand what staff's direction wanted to go, but it brought us together at a time where it was really necessary. So it really solidified how the council and the staff work together. And you guided that. I mean, it was a pretty fun set of exercises we went through. So I am looking forward to us all working together and getting this implemented together. I don't want it to be thought of as just staffs doing all this busy work behind it. I want councils to be a part of it where they can be. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It was
Thank you.
excellent exercise.
Thank you. You made something huge seem fun and doable, and you put it all in one thing. And so I really appreciate all the work that you helped us gather our thoughts and make it really meaningful. It means a lot. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
No, Councilmember Kimple. Tell you later. Okay, next up we have ordinance 22/2025. This is an ordinance granting approval of the final plan unit development for Santa Fe Business Park.
Good evening. There you go. And Happy New Year. So I guess the question is, can you see this on your screen? Okay. Well, this is a continued public hearing from December 1st for the Santa Fe Business Park final PUD, which is Lot 2 of the Terrazzo Baja commercial development, previously referred to as Santa Fe Park. The applicant, NES, is here tonight, Jason, on behalf of the Santa Fe Park JV LLC. They're seeking approval of a final plan unit development for Lot 2 in the Terrazzo Baja commercial development for the construction of a mixed-use industrial warehouse office retail facility. The proposed use conforms to the permitted uses outlined in the approved preliminary PUD and the Terrazzo Baja commercial development sketch plan. The Plan Commission had conducted their public hearing on November 12th of 2025 and recommended approval. Then you conducted a public hearing on December 1st, 2025 and continued it to tonight to allow the applicant the opportunity to address questions and concerns expressed during your public hearing on December 1st. Just a reminder, is just the standard basic information. The applicant is Jason Allwine of NES. The location is at Lot 2 of Terrazzo Baja Commercial, and the request is for a final PUD for that property. And then I'm going to ask Jason to come up and and present to you the changes and that they have made to the proposal to address the concerns that you had, and then I'll jump back into at the end of his presentation and provide conclusion and a recommendation.
Yeah, I need to find this packet. It's not technically in the packet, the presentation, right?
It is actually, it's an attachment.
It's an attachment.
It's an attachment.
Attachment 3?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I see. It's not
You see
showing
it?
up on my screen.
Okay. And I've got it working now, so you can actually use the arrows. So.
Good evening, Jason Alwyn with NES, as Dan mentioned, representing the applicant and the owner. You can see the screen in front of me is a timeline, Terrazzo Baja. That's just what you're all seeing as well. I just want to make sure we're on the same screen page here. I'll do a little bit of background. I'm not sure I need to go much detail on this, but starting in 2020, there was a prelim PED site plan approved that was referenced at the last hearing, permitted a mix of industrial uses, business, commercial uses on roughly 65 acres. More recently, about a year ago now, in 2025, February, a sketch plan was approved, decreasing the number of development pads from 26 down to 9. There were a lot of smaller sites in that previous PD plan. The sketch plan revised that to larger lots. In May 2025, the final plat was recorded, including this lot 2 for this development. And then in progress, there are the adjacent offsite roadways, drainage improvements, water and sewer steps to this site. Here's a look at that prelim plan that was approved in 2020. Again, originally shown as 26 units. The site in question tonight are lots 7 through 13 on the screen. That's what this project encompasses. That was recorded in October 2020. Permitted uses include, again, a mix of civil, commercial, office, light industrial that included warehousing, mini storage, multi-use, miscellaneous such as utilities, parking, transit, etc. And that multi-use definition, going back to the letter of intent in the project, is kind of that combined commercial, office, or light industrial with multi-family residential. It doesn't apply in this particular case, but overall, globally, that's what that mixed use or multi-use encompassed. There are no use type square foot min or maximums as part of that approved PD. And at that time, there was only one larger water quality detention pond. In the southwest corner, you can see it's labeled detention pond kind of in blue. More recently, last year, as part of the final plat, a sketch plan was submitted and approved. Roughly 62 acres. There's some discrepancy, kind of public right-of-ways and so forth. That's why you see that. Uses carried over: civic, commercial, industrial, business, warehouse, and distribution, which this project is in line with. Decrease that number of sites from 26 down to 9. As you can see, we are lot 2. One of the big changes as well was eliminating the overall larger detention facility and requiring individual pad sites to do what we refer to as on-site water quality detention. And then in May, the final plat was recorded for this. That's where the Terrazzo Baja comes into play. We're lot 2, 10.3 acres. The plan that's submitted, the final PUD site plan, is 10.3 acres PUD. We're proposing industrial, office, warehouse, retail use with an accessory use of outdoor storage. A total square foot of 125,500 square feet. Buildings 1 and 3 through 6 are 22,000 square feet. I'll get into that a little bit more detail in a minute. Building 2 is 15,500 square feet. A max building height of 28 feet 2 inches across the 6 buildings. And as I mentioned, the outdoor storage is permitted behind buildings 1 and 2 only. All the outdoor storage is screened as required. And as part of a condition of approval at the Planning Commission, we agreed to a 20-foot max height of those outdoor storage materials. Buildings 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, you can see, I don't know if you can see my cursor, kind of this internal drive area. This is that shared access area. This isn't loading docks. They're not raised elevated loading docks. It's all flush to the ground. They're actually garage doors, so you could drive trucks into and out of. So it's not a loading dock per se, and it's definitely not a cross dock type situation, because each front of the building where the parking is located are that retail style storefronts, whether it's selling, I don't know, stone or tile or coffee shop or whatever. And then as part of this project, we are seeking up to 31,500 square feet of true retail space. We've accommodated the parking for that, and that leaves, if that's utilized to its full potential, 94,000 square foot of industrial. That's a total of about 194 parking spaces across the whole site, with approximately 105 reserved potentially for that full utilization of the retail space. And then here's a quick comparison chart of the approved PUD, kind of the center column, the PD plan, and our proposed on the right. Again, proposed uses are in line with industrial, office, warehousing, and retail. The approved maximum height on the prelim PUD was 90 feet. We're proposing 28 foot 2 inches without outdoor storage, 20 foot max height. With respect to building setbacks, we're in line with what was approved, 25 foot along the Santa Fe Trail, 20 foot along the internal streets, Terrazzo, La Campana. Internal would be to the north of us with a shared property boundary of 10 foot. The lot coverage maximum as approved was 40%. We are proposing 28%, so quite a bit under that. There was no maximum industrial floor space, no maximum retail. However, we're proposing up to that 31,500 for the retail. We believe we meet the four-sided architecture component of the approved PD plan, and we're screening that the outdoor storage, and again, we're meeting the parking per the town's requirements. This is just a quick snapshot of the water quality intention in the southwest corner. It's about 0.7 acres of the site. It's full water quality detention will release as required per local, state requirements. I just show this. It does take up a little bit of land in our southwest corner of the project. And this was kind of in compliance with that approved sketch plan that eliminated the overall, thus requiring individual sites to do drainage. And we did submit a drainage report that was reviewed. We had some comments on that's been signed off on. Let's talk a little bit about going what we discussed the December hearing, so kind of the building use. So what we're proposing and have proposed since the original pre-application meeting is a true mixed use type building, not fully industrial. It's that mix of office, warehouse, retail, industrial, some outdoor storage. It is not entirely 100% industrial use. And I know there were some concerns or questions about meeting that supplemental requirements if our buildings are too big, full metal, etc. All buildings have approximately 5,000 square foot of that retail office space in the front, and it's very light, but there's a light shade. Every building has that in the front, with the warehouse, potential industrial space, storage space located in the rear where the garage door would be accessed. And again, to help emphasize that retail storefront space, that's where all the parking is located, where the customer would interact with the business owner from the front, not the rear. In addition, all the buildings are subdivided into tenant spaces. Buildings 1 and 2 have 2 tenants. Those are also the only 2 buildings that have the outdoor storage. Buildings 3, 5, and 6 have 7 tenant spaces, a little bit smaller. And buildings 4 has 6 tenant spaces, because building 4 does combine 2 of the smallers into a large one in case there's a user that wants closer to 5,000 square feet versus the 2,400 square feet. As we get to the outdoor storage, per the prelim plan was approved, permitted as an incidental or commonly associated use of the permitted use. In this case, that use is as an activity is secondary, subordinate to the principal use. So in this case, we feel that outdoor storage to these warehouse is a continuation of what's happening in the main building. Again, it's limited to buildings 1 and 2, and as you can see, with buildings 1 and 2 being tenanted, separated, the outdoor storage is also separated. So each one, the largest is 15,000 square foot for a portion of building 1, goes down to 6,500 square feet. So it's not a 2 or 3 acre outdoor storage facility. It's several thousand square feet auxiliary to the principal use. All the outdoor is gated and controlled, so it's not used. We're not counting for any public parking. Public can't access it. Only use by those tenants of those particular units. And as I mentioned, we do have a 20-foot outdoor storage restriction that we agreed to at part of the Planning Commission. I mean, anything that's outdoor storage can exceed 20 feet in height. There was concerns about drilling type rigs or very tall iconic type storage that helps mitigate that concern getting too tall with the storage. We're still proposing the asphalt millings. That's that soft surface millings as part of the outdoor storage. We think that is an appropriate material for the outdoor storage. One, because again, it's not parking. It's not accessed by the public. Two, it helps remove some of the unnecessary impervious area and encourage that infiltration, which is part of that 4-step process with the drainage report to reduce that runoff as much as we can. Continuing on, so the screen fence will be 6 foot fully opaque, colored to match the buildings. You can see an example of that fence in the lower left. That's the best color I could get. We intend to do something a little darker to match the architecture you'll see in a moment. In addition to that, the western storage area is screened by 12 evergreen trees. That's these kind of smaller circle, in addition to 4 deciduous trees. To the east along Terrazzo, it's screened by 9 deciduous trees, in addition to understory shrub material. And this site also sits about 5 feet below Terrazzo Drive, so it's actually sunken down a little bit. When it comes to landscape requirements, we are meeting the landscape code requirements. It may be hard to see in the colors. From a motor vehicle standpoint, 1 tree per 9 spaces, that's 22 trees. We've accounted for 22 trees along the western boundary, shown in some of purple if you can see it. We're required to have 40 trees, 50% of those evergreen. We have 40 trees provided. However, 33 are evergreen. So we've exceeded that minimum 50% requirement. We have more evergreens than required on the west side. Allow Campana Drive to the south, again, required 25, providing 25. To the east, Terrazzo, required 22, provided 22. And all these are a mix of deciduous and evergreen. And then internal trees, 5 required, 5 provided. And then we also have over 600 shrubs throughout the site, primarily in the perimeters, as well as in the internal park and the islands where applicable. And then I'd like to get to the building materials. We listened to some of the feedback and concerns from the December hearing. We've removed the white, some of the lighter tones. We've gone to a much, I guess, a darker color palette. It may not show as well, but kind of a dark charcoal slate grays for the wall panels, a dark charcoal for the roof. We've maintained the wood grain metal wall panel detail that you see. In addition, going back to some of the full metal building concerns, we did add some stone veneer to buildings 4, 5, and 6 along the public frontage. We picked those buildings because those are the buildings with either the frontage or the sides that face the public right of way. Everything else was internal. So we thought if we're going to implement and utilize this stone, let's have it where it's facing the public. And you can see in the upper right, this is what we'd proposed before. So we obviously no more white, and then a little bit darker tones, some of the other metal panels. We have then since updated the rendering. So this is building 1. That's in the northwest corner that has the outdoor storage. Again, here's the storefront. We do have some signage. No, the signage isn't going to be white. Just know it helps us to read where the signage is going to be located. So you can see the individual tenants, and for those business owners would have their own storage or their own signage, I'm sorry, for those doors. And this material here is that wood grain panel. And then I'll show you an example of that here in a moment. But you can see the darker color tones. We do have change in pattern. This is vertical. This becomes more horizontal. And then with the storefront, we have fenestration. We have awnings, which helps breaks up the massing. This is building 2. Which is the northeast corner. You'll notice we did eliminate a garage door in one of the units. There was concerns about whether or not we had too many garage doors based on the allowable square footage. So we did remove one of those garage doors to help alleviate that concern. Again, similar to building 1, all of these are going to be very similar with the wood grain on the sides and the storefronts with the windows, the awnings, and the signage. This is building 3. This is the most internal. Again, really no change. The color palette stays the same. We have vertical metal panel, broke up with horizontal metal panel, windows, doors, awnings, and the signage, and some overhang on the ends of the buildings where there's the sidewalk to provide some covered walkways. This is where we see the change in the veneer for building 4. So this would be off of Terrazzo, our main intersection. I'd like to note, so this elevation here is what faces the right of way. So we did add some wainscoting, that stone veneer at the base of the building there. We also turned it into the front unit as it comes into the site as well to help break up that building facing the public right of way. And similar with building 5, this would be, I think, the southeast corner. Again, we've added some veneer along the entire storefront that faces the street. And we did take that veneer, wrapped it around the first little bit of the elevation to add some of that stone as it turns the corner. And again, similar to building number 6 that also faces Long Campana, stone veneer facing out the public right of way. And we did take that veneer around the building to help break that up. And then I'd like to give an example. So this is what that metal or the wood grain metal looks like. I know it's a metal material, but this is almost exact color, I think, and pretty close to the texture we're going to use. So this particular image is what you see on the sides, that tall vertical element to help break up the true metal panel look. And with that, I'm happy to hopefully we try to listen to some concerns, and we feel we've made some really good improvements to help with what we think was a good project to begin with. But going back to some of the color concerns, material concerns, fencing concerns, we feel like we listened to you and addressed what you're concerned about that hearing. So happy to answer any questions or take any feedback.
Okay, well, thank you for presentation. I guess I'll first say thank you for addressing the color palette. It is certainly massive improvement from how I think it'll be perceived as people are driving by. So good on that. I'm sure there'll be some other comments, questions from the council. We want to start with anybody online, Councilmember Chronic or Councilmember Smith.
I have no comments.
Oh,
Sure, I do. Thank you so much, Jason. It's Councilmember Smith. I just have a couple of questions. There was a condition brought forth from the Planning Commission about a 20-foot height restriction on stored materials. Just curious if how that's going to be enforced, and is that only for buildings 1 and 2?
From an enforcement standpoint, maybe the town can answer that if it becomes a code enforcement issue. We agreed to that condition. To the second point, yes, that's only behind building 1 and 2 where the outdoor storage is permitted.
Okay, that's a good answer. Thank you. The second question is also in regard to the outdoor storage. We're using ground base, so not pavement, right? So I appreciate that is not an impervious surface and that it'll allow water to seep through and go back into the ground. But you made the comment about that would not be a parking area. And I guess it's kind of a similar question. How do we ensure that is not used as a parking area with vehicles and so forth on it?
So that's a great question. And from a clarification standpoint, we're not using that for our we'll call it the public parking. The 194 stalls required are all outside of this storage area. All of those, let me go back. Actually, you can kind of see it here. Anything that would be storefronts or public parking per se is asphalt, curb gutter, ped ramps. The storage area, to your question, how do we keep the public out? Because it's locked and gated and controlled by those tenant owners.
Okay, thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate you working with us and listening and addressing some of those concerns that we had. I know some of the other council members may have some questions, so I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Marco?
No, I'll echo what the mayor and Chad said. This is awesome. Thank you very much. When I saw the pictures, I was like, oh hell yeah. So yeah, this is great. Thank you for listening, and thank you for going above and beyond. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so just some clarification. So thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the work that your team did. Much appreciated. So going back into building 1 and 2, using millings, if you will, in the back, the storage areas, that are that type of material or not pavement. So not only in those areas, do we see those back areas accessible to truck traffic for deliveries or for pickup and then to leave? Is that what size trucks are we talking about? And then that's going to lead into my other question about with these other bays that are there. Are we looking at 6-wheel type vehicles, 14-wheel, even up to potentially 18-wheel trucks?
We'll start with the latter question first. From a day-to-day use, not 18-wheelers, not big box trucks, not big delivery trucks. Will occasionally happen? It might. I can't say and say we're never going to get an 18-wheeler through here. What I can say is, this area back here is not intended to be a true loading dock type. You back a big truck up, unload it, reload it. Because all of the garage doors that are into this internal court are flush with the ground. So it's really intended to be, this particular tenant, if he's got, say, a work truck, he can pull it in and keep it in overnight and keep it secure. Will there be an occasional loading and unloading? Probably. That happens with material storage or perhaps material loading to go to a project offsite. When it comes to building 1 and 2, these operate a little bit differently because we see this outdoor storage as an extension of what's happening in here. Let's say countertop manufacturer, a small mom and pop has, raw stone outside, then needs to bring that inside to fabricate stone countertops. So that whether that's a pickup truck or a small skid loader, that's where we like the soft surface. If it's asphalt, it tends to get tore up with that comings and goings. And maybe it's an HVAC equipment salesman and installer. Storing some HVAC equipment and then kind of going in and out of his indoor shop, outdoor shop. Those are just examples. I don't know for certain. So with this material, we see this material a lot, very common as an extension of this type of use because it is limited to this tenant and their use. Not, for example, this half right here is accessed from the south. The top outdoor storage access from the north. So only that, tenant 1A, tenant 1B has access. So not limited or not access to public parking. Certainly we talked with fire, they can get through there. So we worked with them, but really limited to whatever uses and truck is going to come through here. Can we get an ATVer back here? Certainly not. Can we get a smaller box truck again for like a gutter manufacturer? Perhaps. That is what we see as this type.
And the reason why, thank you for the clarification. The reason why I bring the question up is just concerns about using that type of material during an erosion. Type either heavy rains that we get, and then there's vehicles, transversing that area or storing material. You start getting ruts and just the erosion, and then having to repair that so it doesn't start to affect the other spaces or going off from the flow of the normal drainage that was shown on one of the other earlier slides.
Yeah, and I would say, this is going to be pretty fairly contained. We have that, whether it's a raised curb to help that, but we also have the opaque fence in that. And when we say soft surface, don't think more sand, think kind of like the Breeze Trail that's out, like a Santa Fe trail, maybe a little more firm than that. But once that's compacted, that's pretty hardy. We see it with maintenance vehicles drive on that. In a heavy downpour, we're going to get a little bit of cupping, perhaps. But then, these building owners are going to want to fix that as much as possible because it's their use. They're going to need that space to operate.
Yes.
We think, right.
That's what-
And again, we've kind of limited that storage and that use, to these 4 areas and relatively small compared to, the overall all site. It's about maybe an acre-ish of total storage on that.
No, just
Yep.
thank you for the clarification, just voicing the concern.
Yep. So thank you.
Senna?
quick question. Do we know how wide Terrazzo Drive is? I'm trying to look in the, there's no dimensions on this one image. I'm looking at number 9. Or is it, no, 9?
Let's see if I can check on the drawings.
If you have that handy, I was just curious because he brought something to my attention about the trucks. Like, would they be using Terrazzo to get in? Oh, well, there's no, so they would have to, okay, sorry.
Terrazzo meets our design standards. In this, there's gonna be quite a few other uses within there that are gonna be utilizing Terrazzo and Baja and La Campana. So they've all been designed wide enough to accommodate those.
Okay, and La Campana is the one that goes to,
That goes out to Old Denver Road
Old
in the
Denver,
south, and then Baja is at the north end up by where Triview is building their admin building.
that's Baja. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
It looks like on the drawings that Terrazzo is a 60-foot right away, but like that's being built for us. We're essentially plugging into that.
Okay.
Yeah. Same with La Campana.
I do. I like what I see. And I like the last image that kind of shows us the rendering, if you will, of what it could look like. The color scheme is great, so it's an improvement. Not that the last one was bad, but I think this one will blend a little bit better into the area. So thank you.
Anybody else? I'm good. I already said my piece.
All right. So regarding the front space, office, retail, whatever it is, if somebody gets 2 of these units, can that space go away on one of the other units? Is this going to be built as a spec, or is this going to be built as a tenant improvement?
Can you repeat the
For
first
the
part so I
front-
understand? So
The front office space, retail space,
Mhm.
whatever that is,
Mhm.
is that going to be a tenant improvement, or is that built as a spec?
I'd have to ask the owner how he intends to do that. But the intent is that 5,000 square foot's on all of those as part of this.
Hello, Andrew Biggs with Proterra Properties, the developer. Pleasure to be here. The plan overall is for these to be built out as individual units. We do plan on speccing some as we move through the project. So we would finish off some of these units as kind of a showcase or a model to get somebody to be able to look and feel and see what it is. But there will be spaces left to have individual and specific TIs built out on an individual unit level as well.
Okay. And then I'm going to go back to these millings. How deep are these millings going to be? And is there a class 6 road base underneath of this?
I can't answer the specifics of that because we haven't gone into the CDs yet. Whatever that depth's going to be would be submitted to town and the town's engineer for review, as probably well as the fire department to make sure it's adequate for the intended loads.
Okay, because it does say truck and trailer parking, so that's different than just storing pallets outside.
Sure, like I said, a box truck or a small trailer for a cabinet manufacturer or a countertop manufacturer, right? But again, we're limited to the size what we could do from the size of the trailer and truck because of the 20-foot height and because of the size of the storage, how we've broken that up to 4 storage parcels, not 1 acre and chunks, I should say.
I guess I'm just suggesting if it's going to have any type of weight out there, that it has some kind of a base.
Yeah,
Rather
understood.
than just pouring 3 inches of recycled asphalt and calling it a day.
Our town engineer will absolutely make sure that the intended load is addressed in the construction. When we review the CDs, we'll kick it back to them if it's not appropriate.
Okay. What do you anticipate, or do you know what the storage is going to be out there?
We don't know. It could be countertops, could be cabinets, could be landscape supply company. It's hard to give specific list of what that could be.
Well, I didn't know if you had them already
Not yet.
spoken for.
Nope.
Okay, so you have a limit of 31,500 square feet of retail maximum. Why is there a maximum on that?
A couple different reasons, and it's a good question. One, we think the market in the area, this isn't really a true retail type center. When you think like a Chipotle or a dry cleaner or restaurants, this isn't a true draw retail. There are other areas in town that are more served for that. However, if we look at things like a brewery or a coffee roaster or a distillery, those fall under a retail type component, and we wanted that option in here. So it's limited to one, keep that retail component small, and the rest of the site can be used for the purpose of that kind of warehouse, light industrial, office type mixed use. And two, it comes to parking. We could have had a little bit more retail space, but the more retail space we have, the less parking we have for the primary use or the bulk of the use, which would be the industrial space and the warehouse office space. So that's how we came upon that 31,500 number.
Okay. There's no public trash handling on this, no dumpster enclosures. So how do you address that and keep it so that people aren't putting trash cans out in the alley for trash pickup?
You're right. There's no intended dumpsters for a variety of reasons. Big one is everyone's kind of different on what they handle, and we didn't want 36 dumpsters out here. And so with other projects that we've looked at, it's all been what we call individual trash, and they bring their trash as they need to. So it'd be kind of a common trash pickup, like you may see an apartment complex or townhome. From a leaving a dumpster out, could look at, I guess, I don't know if that's leasing rules or CCRs or type thing, similar to enforcing the 20-foot outdoor restriction height. Whether that's being a good neighbor or the neighbor next to you gets upset and say, hey, can you start bringing your trash in? We also know we live in a bear-aware area, and there's probably rules about keeping trash out overnight as well. Whether that applies to commercial, I'm not entirely sure, but something we could look into.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to add on because we've dealt with this before. The lack of it being addressed in the renderings also means that sight lines aren't being taken into consideration, because that's what we dealt with some retail space on the east side of town. There needs to be an accountability for collection of trash and making sure that it could be seen, that or vehicles that are not going to be blocked by views of the enclosures. And that I assume the trucks will be able to get in there to remove trash, but if you've got no designated space for trash, there's no way businesses are just going to take their trash out and put it in the street or in the parking spaces.
So the good news here is you're bringing a lot of users into one space. So there's going to be a lot of self-policing that's going to occur. You're going also where the garage doors are, that's an open service area. If we start having individuals putting dumpsters out there, that's going to get in the way of business and truck or vehicle traffic. You'll notice it's been designed without islands. That's on purpose, so that a vehicle could get in there, make a delivery, and get out. If it's going to have dumpsters, that's going to cause a problem. With all that said, though, I understand your concern, and I would actually work with them and the owner to make sure that it's put into their association documents to say that the dumpster or refuge is kept inside the garage door until delivery or delivery. How about pickup? And then it's only brought out and it's brought back in. But you'll find that these folks, because it's a retail office mix use, they're going to be policing each other pretty much. That's what I've experienced in other communities or other developments like this. But I will take the chance to meet with Andrew and just make sure that there's a document, there's something that locks that in, so that when we go out there to police it and we find ourselves in the position of having to police it, that we have something to hold on to and protect the town and its risk.
Well, our code and the PUD both state that these trash enclosures will be opaquely screened and landscaped around them. So
There are There are no trash enclosures though. There's
That's-
nothing proposed. They're going to be
Right,
inside.
But that's what I'm saying. Without that, and everybody has a dumpster inside their shop and then they roll them out into the alley and they stay out in the alley till somebody complains and then we got a code issue and all this other. That's what I'm concerned about.
You can add if you'd like to.
Yeah.
It's your development. Go for it.
No, what we found in some of our other developments, and especially ones with community trash, is that they get abused. They are messy. They often get overflowed, and it is a nightmare to try to maintain those and not have those be in kind to what we're trying to achieve here. So it is through experience and through owning some of these where if it's on the responsibility and under not only a lease but enforced by the association, that they, and which also allows for fining and some other things that we can do as the property manager, that we have found that to be very successful and works very well.
So essentially you would have like covenants, for lack of a better term, like you have in the HOAs.
Correct.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that I don't want to make a condition on that. I want to make sure that that's handled somehow.
I believe we have that in place with Dan, and we will make sure that those are in the documents.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about this storage. The outside storage area on the PUD says that it needs to be incidental. To me, storage areas larger than the units and 20-foot high of storage isn't incidental. And by the way, I'm going to preface this because I'm going to say a lot of things and I'm sorry about that, but this is not an indication of how I'm voting or what my conditions are going to be. I just need questions answered. Our code's pretty strict about screening behind fences, and that in this area here, you could go up to an 8-foot fence and you could store stuff up to 8 feet high. Other than a occasional trailer that would be sitting back there, one thing I wouldn't be okay with is 20-foot high of storage outside. We don't allow that. It's not in our code. In the preliminary PUD talks about incidental uses, and to me, it seems like that's a whole nother section of a business that would be outside, whether it be, I mean, granite slabs aren't going to stick up over the fence. It's not that what I'm worried about, but you get pallets of pipes or whatever it's going to be, and they're sticking up 20 feet in the air. We don't allow that as it is. So I do have issue with that. And our code talks about that, including commercial vehicles being screened from the public right of way. It talks about it being screened from trails. It talks about it being screened from adjacent properties. And we spent a lot of time going through these codes when we redid it. So I don't really want to get into modifying them on this particular use. And then the next lot that's in this development, we're back at it again, trying to address it again. So I just want to bring that up for now. I guess you probably can't really answer that question, but just know that that's going to be an issue with me. So one thing I want to address, just to get this off my list, is the idea of this being some type of a mixed use building. Therefore, it's not required to fit within the 20,000 square foot steel building envelope. Because I disagree with that. I think this is an industrial use. And I wrote a little statement about that, so I'll just get it out on the record. So the Monument Municipal Code defines mixed use as a development of a lot, plot, building, or structure with two or more different uses designed, planned, and constructed as a unit. The code's Definition of a description of is descriptive of a development pattern and does not establish a separate base land use category or override use-specific performance standards. And typically, residential is a part of mixed use in most communities. The proposed final PUD includes multiple permitted uses, including industrial warehouse uses with accessory office and limited retail uses. While the presence of more than one may allow the development to be described as mixed use in the general sense, the primary and dominant use of the site is industrial, as evidenced by the permitted use list, site layout, building design, truck and trailer parking, outdoor storage areas, and the application and modification of industrial use standards. Accordingly, the development is properly classified as an industrial development with accessory non-industrial uses, and all applicable industrial performance, buffering, stormwater, and operational standards of the Monument Municipal Code apply except where expressly modified by the approved plan unit development. My interpretation of the Monument Industrial Codes and my part in proposing the changes made in the revised code in 2022, as is currently in place, finds the designation of a development as mixed use as defined by the Monument Municipal Code does not eliminate or replace the regulatory classification of industrial uses contained within the development. The code does not state and does not imply that a mixed-use development is exempt from industrial use standards when industrial uses are present. In this case, the industrial and warehouse uses are the primary and dominant components of the development. The inclusion of accessory office and limited retail space does not convert the buildings to a commercial or non-industrial classification, nor does it exempt the project from industrial performance standards. Industrial uses remain subject to industrial regulations regardless of whether they are located within a mixed use or single use development. Therefore, claims that the proposed development is non-industrial solely because it may be described as a mixed use is inconsistent with the Monument Municipal Code and standard land use interpretation. In fact, the PUD modifies Monument Municipal Code 18.04.150 industrial uses, and no other code is modified. If it were not industrial, there would be no reason to modify the industrial standards section of the code. The proposed use on the final PUD states industrial first. And why I'm bringing this up is because if another building comes into this development and it's 50,000 square feet and they say, oh, we have a retail component to it, that takes away the whole intent of the code, which is in the industrial uses section of the code and not in industrial zone districts. So that doesn't mean that I don't think these are good looking buildings, but I'm bringing that up for a reason because we do have a 20,000 square foot limitation on these. The preliminary PUD also states that all buildings shall have four-sided architecture. I could argue that point. I'm not going to really get into it. All rooftop mechanical equipment shall be screened with an opaque structure, which I didn't see on the final PUD, but I want to make sure that that's noted. And let's see what else. And then get into this other piece. And then our codes, where it talks about these metal buildings, says a principal building facade shall avoid the use of undifferentiated surfaces by including at least three of the following, which would be change in building heights, building step backs or recesses, fenestration, change in building material, pattern, texture, or color, or use of accent materials. There's a lot of standing seam metal on this building, on these buildings, and some sides are completely that. I was hoping when it came back, I'm glad to see the stone. I was hoping to see the stone on all the buildings because we have a 20-foot, if it's in our code, it says metal may be used as an accent material covering no more than 20% of the facades when the buildings are visible from a street, park, open space, or trail.
If metal is to be used along interior lot lines, such facades need to be integrated into the overall building design. So with that, would you have issues with doing the same stone on all buildings?
Well, I'd have to ask the owner on that. I guess maybe discuss that a little bit. If you mentioned 22,000 square foot, the way we read that industrial, like, this isn't one 22,000 square foot footprint. This is, sure, it's a 22,000 square foot building with 6 or 7 tenants within that. In addition to that, now maybe that's semantics, but right, like that's the intent. We're subdividing this out, and a lot of industrial buildings are just one, 4 sides and a giant roof, right? Not necessarily broke up as we're intending to do this. In addition, I understand your comments on mixed use. We don't think this is truly industrial. We have every 5,000 square foot of every building is that office / retail storefront. You take that away from every building, we're roughly 17,000 square foot of what then could be used for industrial. It could also be used for warehouse, could also be used for coffee roasting, could be used for a variety of uses that fall within the broad description of and what's permitted by code for warehouse, light industrial, office, retail. We do feel like we have the pattern, texture, color. Yes, there's some standing seam, but they change direction. We change color. We've changed the color going back to this December meeting. We have this wood grain that we showed you a picture of. Looks pretty sharp. And the storefronts, we do have awnings, we have signage, and we have the windows, the fenestration. So we do feel like we are meeting or complying with some of the wishes and direction that we heard in December. And I guess we could continue to discuss whether or not this is mixed use and it's full industrial versus not industrial. And I don't know if Dan or the rest of the staff has any comments on the application of that particular code section.
Well, it's industrial uses. It's not industrial zone. So I want to be clear about that. And this project could be 100% industrial uses. Every single steel building that we have right now is industrial in this town. I assume that it's mostly going to be some kind of industrial / warehouse, which I would put in the industrial category as our code does as well. So I appreciate that you are trying to make this what I consider it's not, but my original question is, because this is a PUD and we can do, we can make lots of exceptions on these, but because the way our code is written, with the different types of material and other things, and the articulation and varying roof heights and things like that, was set up specifically so that when these buildings come in, which originally they were proposed to not allow any steel buildings, and it went up to 10,000 square feet and it ended up at 20, was to keep these steel buildings from not looking like steel buildings. So my original question is back to the same thing. Are you willing to put stone on the other buildings in the same way that you're going to put them on those 3?
Thank you very much. I hear you. And I think through these conversations, as I said in our last meeting, it goes to help make a great project. And I think I'm pretty proud to stand here and say that through the discussions of last meeting, I think we have a better project than what we brought forth last meeting. So with that being said, I think we would consider doing some stone. I want to make sure that it's going to be in consistence with what we have on the other buildings, and I hope that goes to show that we're here to not only make a good project here, but we have to be responsible as far as cost and economics, and make sure that this is a viable project through and through. So I think that's where we can come in as the experts in this and kind of present to you guys, this is what we think we need in order to make an economic project and have it work. And so with that, I think we have some room to be able to do some stone like we have on the other buildings.
Thank you. See if I got anything else in here. Oh, one minor thing. So along the trail with our code, it states that evergreen trees should be planted every 25 feet. You have the one section particularly where all that storage is, that's deciduous trees. Would you change those out for evergreens? You can move those someplace else.
We
but to get it
have,
away from the trail.
so along here, let me, so we, all of these smaller, these are all evergreen. So we only have 4 deciduous trees along the west. There's 12 total evergreens just along this storage versus 4 deciduous on the west. The reason why we did that is we'd like a little bit of variety, and 2 deciduous get bigger and have a broader canopy.
I'm just trying to shield as much of the storage area as we can.
So we like a little, I mean, certainly we can do all evergreens, but we do like a little variety when it comes to, with the large deciduous trees, they're 20 to 30 foot, and they also get 20, 30 foot taller. In addition, you know, kind of in correlation with the evergreen planting. So we have quite a bit of evergreen along the entire western side. You can see, you know, per the code, 50% is evergreen. We're providing 33, so 13 more than what's required from a true evergreen standpoint.
Okay, I'm not gonna beat you up over that one. Just making a note on that, just so that it shields it from the trail. I think that's all I have for now.
One more going back to discussion about the trash bins being rolled out in between buildings 3, 5, 4, and 6. Is that area also good? Because I see some parking stalls in there, so I'm not sure if that's for consideration of like other delivery vehicles waiting to load, offload, or whatever, or employee parking.
Primary parking, because primary employee parking. Because you can see there are access doors at the rear of these buildings, and there's, I think, maybe 3-ish to 5-ish, depending on the building, of available parking back there, but the bulk of it is in what we'll call the storefronts.
Yeah. So, so what I'm driving at is, and Dan, help me out on this. Will this also be either marked or recognized as a fire lane in between these buildings?
I think that's something that it's not specified at that point, but when we go through our CDs and work with the fire department, we'll make sure that it's imposed where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
We haven't had any indication from the fire district that that's what it would be.
Yeah, I'm just, because the reason why I'm bringing this up is people become creatures of habit where they roll the trash bins out. They don't take them back in right away. You're saying that others will police and help clean that up. And then you have employees that will park. They won't use the parking stalls. They'll park, you know, parallel or at a convenience or something like that because they're doubled up or whatever. So I'm thinking fire ingress, egress type, and they have to, you know, maneuver in there.
I think as part of our review for the association
'Cause I'm
documents.
I'm not sure where the hydrants are gonna be.
I'm not sure either. So when we go through that, through the CDs, we'll lock in on those and make sure we address those properly.
Thanks.
Councilmember Chronic had her hand up.
Yes, I did, because I'm I'm a little concerned at this point. As a council, we often have the responsibility for now and in the future. And we get taken to task for decisions we make now that eventually come to haunt us in the future. And this kind of appears to be one of those things. We're talking about a lot of visual effects versus actual efforts. and design standards versus general applications with mixed use versus industrial use. And somehow I guess I'm missing the point here. The point for me is how is this proposed development going to be viewed in the future? And how is the council going to be taken to task, which they will, we all know that, for whatever decision is made about all of this? And we're getting into, we're like, all of this is very specific in many regards. I don't know that we can address all of them, but I think that as a general approach to this, we need to be a little more cognizant of the fact that this decision or a decision is going to reflect on us in the future. So right now, I'm very conflicted, and I'm just putting that out there. Thank you.
Okay, so back to the parking, I did have a question about that, because the way that I read these calculations, you're figuring that there's going to be 2 employees per unit in this industrial part of it. How did you arrive at that?
That is a calculation that's set forth in the code for the industrial use, and then the retail is
The retail goes by square footage, the
correct.
industrial goes by employees.
Correct.
So how did you come up with the employees part of it?
Just based on recent examples, Andrew's experience with this type of facility, with and doing the 2 employee per through the use. That's how we came up with that.
And Dan, you looked at that, so how do you justify 2 employees per unit?
I think that's a reasonable number. I think you're going to have more than one person working in a storefront or an office space, or someone working in the back and someone working in the front. I really didn't see that was unreasonable.
So we have, and then there's 2 different retail classifications. One is X amount of spaces per 300 square, I guess one space per 300 square feet for retail, and one is per 250 square feet. And you're at the 300 square foot one instead of the 251. And then we have 2 employees per unit. But there's no other parking available. So I just want to make sure that we're not underutilizing what we're going to need for parking here. Because
Again,
otherwise they end up parking in fire lanes and everything else.
this being a mixed use development, there are going to be developments that are going to be more intense in customer and employee parking than others. So this is going to be there'll be a full balance across the board. Where if one is requiring to have more, there'll be another one in this type of a development that'll require less. So again, and the code actually addresses shared parking agreements and arrangements to make sure that I didn't see that even given the number of parking spaces they're providing here, that would even be something that would have to be considered as part of this PUD, because there are enough parking spaces per our code. As far as fire lanes and striping and so on, they're going to be held to the same requirements that anyone is across the town, where if you're parking in a fire lane, there's regulations to protect that. And then the fire department will be involved with occupancy and certificates of occupancy and occupancy of the unit to make sure and ensure that it's safe over time. So that really isn't something that I spent a lot of time trying to justify, because I thought that it was a reasonable request and a reasonable application of our code.
So is there going to be any restrictions on automotive related businesses in here?
Similar as it is across in our land use requirements today. If it requires a special or conditional use or a change in the PUD element, they'll have to come back before you. If it's a permitted use, it would be something that they would be able to do it right, and administrative approval through my office.
So is auto repair permitted in this use?
I think that that's already governed by the PUD, but I'd have to take a closer look at it. I don't have the specific use in
Yeah,
front of me right
and
now.
I don't have it exactly in front of me, but
Yeah.
that would be, something more for the owner to consider, because one auto repair shop goes in here and it's going to kill the parking.
Well, they can't store vehicles in the parking lot. Those are required parking spaces, which is an issue we have in other locations in town as well. So, the, yeah, those are parking spaces for customers and employees. I guess the only two that might have vehicles that are being worked on in the back might be the two buildings in the back for storage. I don't believe that's the intent of this development in this property owner, but I would leave them to respond to that.
Yes, in our other projects that we do own, we are reluctant to parking is gold. And so we want to make sure that we are protective of it, and likewise for looks purposes, to maintain that the aesthetics of our projects garner the kind of rates that we're going to be asking for here. So overall, it's in my opinion an owner decision that we would be very restrictive on who we would allow to come into our project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there are no, do you have a
I-
presentation?
I have some comments,
Oh, okay.
actually, sorry. As usual, Pro Tem King brings up a lot of good issues. I guess, and going back to what Laura said, I think we need to be very intentional. The fact that there is no Bay Area for garbage cans or dumpsters is very concerning, and I think it's going to come back and bite us in the rear end. So that's a huge issue for me. I feel like even if you hypothetically took off part of building 4 and made one side of that a bay for each of these buildings, because I'm assuming that the structure, that the storage behind building 1 and building 2, that only belongs to those tenants, correct? It's not being shared by any of the other tenants. Okay, that's another problem. They have more wiggle room to put a dumpster back there. The other buildings, from what I'm looking at, does not seem that would hold true. Secondly, yeah, parking is gold, but don't ADA parking spots take up more room? I mean, that could take up, and that is a requirement, right? You're still going to have ADA parking?
They're required to, yes.
Okay. So, and then the other thing I wanted to mention is the trees along the trail. Steve, you said the evergreen, are you worried they won't be tall enough? They won't grow tall enough? Can you explain what your concern was about the trees?
So my only concern is we're at 7,000 feet and deciduous trees don't tend to have foliage on them for very long, whereas evergreens are
Yeah, I
green
have
all
a
year.
problem with that
Really?
as well, especially facing
sort of.
the trail. Um,
So
And then, so this, and the stone, okay, so again, you are saying that this is mixed use, but the use of all the facade on, I mean, what kind of business? You mentioned roaster a couple of times, but these buildings, if you're gonna put this much metal on the outside, are gonna probably draw some more industrial businesses, right? And with that, whether it is stone or wood flooring or whatever, they're gonna need some kind of garbage receptacle to put that in. And I have a hard time thinking that that is gonna go inside the business, and it's gonna, yeah, I'm struggling with the garbage piece, because even when we saw the plat for across the way, when we did, I think it was for the fire department, even between those businesses, there was a bay for garbage. So I don't know how we could have overlooked this, Dan. I'm looking to you to say how is this acceptable? Convince me, please.
Well, first of all, I want to address plan unit developments. Plan unit developments aren't there seems to be a fear of some of you that you're setting a precedent of some sort by approving this, that you're putting yourself in a position of having to approve others that are similar. That's not what a PUD is. There's give and take in a PUD. There are standards that you're following, but you're also trying to create a benefit for the community. But this would, on December 1st, when this was proposed to you or shown to you first, it was talking about the economic development benefit of this development. This is an affordable location to create and start a business. Get your business out of your home or some other location, but you can move it into here. It's an affordable place to open up to start a brewery or other uses, or a mom and pop shop who wants to sell countertop.
What are we thinking per rent per unit then?
I can let them speak to that, but again, because they're smaller spaces, they're going to be more affordable. I'm not saying low income affordable. I'm just saying that they're attainable for a new business to start up, and it's providing the spaces for them. So that there's your local community benefit. Now, as far as the development goes, the developer, Andrew and Jason have come in and I've actually provided a lot of screening. There's much more screening if you look just across the way over at Monument Industrial. That you can't even compare the two, and that the amount of landscaping that's being provided around the perimeter of this property it not only exceeds our code, but it exceeds the character of the area. They've changed their building colors. I know that there's a fear of the standard metal seam box building that we have, but we have lots of little ones. I'm thinking of a couple that are just going up over on Cynthia's right now, but because they're not 20,000 square feet, you're not seeing them or catching them. These are just a little bit bigger. And this developer has come out and provided multicolor, multi-pattern buildings, and they're actually shaped completely different. So it's a different structure. As far as the dumpsters go, we're going to work through that with their regulations, their own association regulations, and make sure that they are being pulled into each of their garage doors. They're stored inside and only put out for garbage day. That I've seen many examples of where that's occurred, and it works. I also understood the idea of having a corral, not being something that they want, because I live next to a corral right now, and it's filled with mattresses and couches. By allowing them to pull them in, they can self-police and then bring them out when necessary. And I have to learn to breathe. I don't necessarily agree with Mayor Pro Tem King's interpretation. I don't. This is a mixed-use development. It does provide there's going to be different uses every 5,000 square feet. There's going to be different opportunities in each. I think the code is afraid of large, flat, metal seam buildings. This is not what they're providing here. Four-sided architecture, I don't know what that is. Is it brick all the way around the outside of it? Is it making sure the front looks like the back? I've not seen that application done well in Colorado Springs or here. So I don't know what that definition is. And I would find it difficult to hold them to a standard that we can't define. I'm not concerned about this. I'm actually excited about it. I just think there's opportunity that comes with this project that you don't have here in town already. And we can convince ourselves that any project is a bad project or it's going to cause us issues in the future. What we need to do is see the opportunity that we have before us today. And that's multiple units that can really provide future spaces for businesses that aren't here yet, or businesses who are just trying to figure out what to do next and leave. So I'd really, I stand before you asking you to approve the PUD. You haven't seen me do this, but I believe in this project and I believe in the opportunity here. So what I'm asking tonight is that and I'm recommending you tonight to approve this plan unit development. And if there are any bugs or issues that need to be worked out, I will do that with them. before we approve the CDs, before we record the PUD and the associated ordinance.
Before we move on to public comment, I guess I just have one question. If the buildings on these slides show 22,000 square feet, there's 5 of them. If they weren't a singular building at 22,000 square feet, why not subdivide them so that each 5,000 square foot space, or whatever the number is, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces divided by 22,000, why not divide them, have them be on their own individual foundations, separated by landscape, right? Alleyways, whatever you want to call it. You would probably lose some parking spots, but you can't fake us here, right? You got one building that is divided into, looks like 2 tenant spaces, and 4 buildings divided into 6 tenant spaces, all under a individual statement of 22,000 square feet. Why does everybody come to this town and screw with our code that we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in staff and legal fees, and for me, going on year 6 to develop to protect the town? Why do you come here, NES? For 6 years I've been here, and screw with our code. You always try to tweak it to fit what you want instead of coming in and being a good neighbor and following our code and our ordinances the way they're laid out. I've been dealing with this crap going on 6 years now. You're always behind it. And I want to know why you can't just comply out of the gate, so we don't have to have people sitting there on their own free time digging in to make sure you're not violating it, making town staff have to jump through hoops. I don't get it. You're not a good business partner for this town. You haven't been. I can count dozens of developments where we have to fight this every single time. And I'm getting tired of it. Now, if you want to come in here with a solid metal building, you get it to code. I can tell you how I'm voting, because you're not meeting our code. And this guy's doing this crap we're all doing this for free. You get paid to tweak everything every single time you come in, you and Andrea. I'm really tired of it.
I'm not sure if there's
There's no response. I'm going to public comment, because this is a public hearing item. So anybody here in town hall or online that would like to come up and speak for or against this ordinance for final plan use development, please come on up. Anybody will online?
There are no hands raised, Mayor.
All right, then we will close the public hearing. We'll bring it back to the council for further discussion. Any comments that you would like, any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like to just address a few things. It is a PUD, so it's its own zone district with its own rules and regulations. I don't really want to rehash the mixed use aspect of it. I'm pretty strong in my opinion, and we've been talking about doing some types of design standards for some time here, which will ultimately be the 5,000 square foot steel buildings too, because they don't have any design whatsoever. These buildings are pretty well done, I will say that. I do understand the economics of it too, so I'm not like unsensitive to that or insensitive to that. For me, I can get past a lot of this stuff. For me, the issues are going to be the stone around the buildings, the storage meeting our 18.04150 codes, and something in the covenants that has to do with this trash that these dumpsters have to go inside. and not sit out in the alley. And I don't know how you police that, but it just needs to be part of it. Those are the three big ones for me at this point. You guys have anything down there?
Gonna be somewhat cautious on how I say this, but I mean, I understand the economics of the development of it, and the cost and the fees, and this seems to be, not just here in Monument, but also in other areas, that I visited in Colorado, and, almost like the new norm of, I don't want to say business park, but like think of a version of a strip mall. That's how, I mean, and I know it's the two are different, but that's what it's in my head is this is becoming the new norm of development and smaller scale size businesses to start. So.
Not sure I understood that comment. If you want to expand on that.
Anybody else?
Struggling as well. I kind of support what Steve said. I think, and Dan, this isn't bad. I don't want you to think that we think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. I think we're close, but we're not there yet. That's just my 2 cents worth. I don't have the background you do, Steve, and I'm very grateful you're sitting up here. And I don't think that our concerns are unfounded. I'm looking at these pictures. I just feel like once we're done, we're done. And we live in this town. It's our due diligence to just be a little more rigorous than maybe other people possibly. I don't know. But we do care. And I think, like I said, we're close, but we're not quite there at 100% yet.
Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Chronic.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Councilmember Abbott. I agree wholeheartedly.
Councilmember Smith, anything?
Nothing from my end.
Okay. And we've had the public hearing and we've made all our comments.
Do I get a chance to comment?
Are there any? Sure.
Well, first off, I'd take a little exception to some of your comments, Mr. Mayor. And this is not to point fingers, but from the beginning, when we did the pre-app through 3 submittals, the 22,000 square foot or 20,000 square foot requirement did not come up at all. Had that come up at pre-app or through the review process, we probably could have worked something out, as opposed to trying to do it at the podiums. So again, I'm not trying to point fingers, but that comment was news to us at that December hearing. We feel like we've tried to address that by initially adding stone veneer to 3 of the buildings. The owner, Andrew, here just committed to adding stone veneer to all 6 of the buildings. Whether that wainscoting is enough to satisfy and it no longer is a full metal building, I suppose is up for interpretation and discussion, but we're willing to do that. We've changed the color. We've changed the fence type. We have more evergreens along the west than required. If we need to change out the deciduous trees on the west evergreens, no problem, I can do that. As Dan mentioned, we have more shrub material than is required and than any other industrial or related use in the area. This building doesn't look like the other industrial buildings in the area. It's not a gigantic 2-acre building. It's not a cross-dock type use. This is individual tenant uses. So to say we're trying to skirt the rules, I don't necessarily agree with that, because that didn't come up until about a month ago. And we are trying to address it on the fly without losing square footage, which the project has been based on with some numbers, construction cost, rent cost. I can't speak to what those are. The market's going to dictate that's probably going to go up and down. We've added additional material to trying to appease some of these concerns and eliminate some of the full metal versus stone veneer. We have windows. From a use standpoint, this has been an industrial zone since 2020. We're now just trying to enact what's been in place on a master plan, and we're not necessarily the first one to come in. As mentioned across the street, there's a giant warehouse across from us. This buildings are kind of opposite of that. Is a similar use? Perhaps, but it's not nearly the same scale. These are broken up into 6 different buildings. 2 of them really only face the street. You have a smaller one that's 15,000 square foot. Sure, it's surrounded by industrial. When we have the trail to the west, there's 70 foot between our kind of buffer and the trail, in addition to all those evergreens. So we feel like we have listened and tried to mitigate and eliminate some of these concerns by changing color. We have adequate parking. Traffic's been studied, photometrics been studied. So again, adding stone to the building, if that alleviates the concern of this 22,000 square foot, the owners already agreed to do that. And that will be reflected on the updated PUD drawings, and Dan's here to make sure that wainscoting gets added to all of those buildings. So with that being said, again, it's approved use, and we feel like we've made great strides to address the concerns. If there's a trash problem in the future, I'm pretty sure we're going to be back standing up here. If we need to amend the PUD to add some dumpsters, we're going to have to amend the plan and be here. And that is really for the owner and the tenant to figure out if it becomes an issue in the future. If it becomes an issue, it's an issue for the entire complex, and one that not every tenant is going to want to deal with. So it will have to be addressed because we want a successful project. And if there's a trash issue, we're going to have to solve that. But it's an if at this point. We don't know if there will be a trash issue, but I can assure you if there is, we're going to have to figure out how to address it. And if that means amending the drawings and adding dumpsters, then we'll figure out how to do that in the future when that bridge comes.
Thank you.
All right, if everybody's done, I'll make a motion on this. Are you guys?
No, go for it.
Okay.
Are you adding any conditions?
Yeah. So before I make this motion, Dan, the PUD drawings don't reflect the presentation. So I want to make sure that the presentation slides are part of the final PUD. Okay. Because I don't want to put that in as a condition. All right, so I will make a motion to approve ordinance number 22-2025, an ordinance granting approval of the final plan unit development for Santa Fe Business Park Lot 2, Terrazzo, Baja. Commercial development located at the northwest corner of Terrazzo Drive and La Campana Drive, with the following conditions: that the stone that's proposed in the staff presentation is consistent on all the buildings, that the storage areas comply with our code 18.04.150, and that takes away the 20-foot height requirement, and that trash dumpsters are contained within the units, and there's some document that will reflect that, covenants or whatever.
I'll second that.
Yes.
You need to go on, Mike.
Just for your clarification,
Right.
you're motioning to take away the
20-foot
no
height.
more than 20-foot height.
It's whatever is permitted for outside storage in 18.04.150.
Basically, we're just ignoring the condition recommendation of the planning commission.
Right. I just wanted so it complies with our outside storage codes.
And then to remind everybody, what is the outside storage code? What's the current one?
I probably can't get all of it, but the opaque fencing, which is what it does have, and that is also on the PUD, and that anything that's stored behind there is screened from view. If it's temporary trailer or something like that, you don't have to build a screen around it. But I just don't want pallets sticking up 20 feet in the air. So if that makes sense to you.
Mhm.
And this is going to be a code enforcement issue, ultimately, that we may not be successful on doing, but at least if it's part of the PUD, it's law.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Are you caught up, Ms. Erickson, with those conditions? Okay. The motion passes 7-0. Oh, you're up again.
Yeah.
Next ordinance is 01-2026. An ordinance amending chapter 18 of the municipal code to reference the approved official zoning map by a date certain. By a date certain.
What's the date?
Certain.
You're certain about its date.
Yeah, this is the same ordinance I asked you to approve last year. By code, we are to update our official zoning map on an annual basis. As I promised last year, I was going to come in at the beginning of the year versus in the middle. So you can count on that I'll be coming in every January with a formal copy of our official zoning map. Tonight, rather than me just asking you to approve this map, which is a rendition of all the work that you've done in the past year, I'm also going to ask Connie to come up because it's funny that we approve a paper map on an annual basis, but maps are three-dimensional now. There's data behind them. And I want you all to see the tools that Connie has developed that are available to you to look at that data. And then I'm going to ask for you to approve the ordinance that's before you, accepting this map, which is right over here to my left, is the official map for 2026. Once approved, then Mayor LaKind and myself will sign it, and it'll get hung up everywhere and posted on the website, and we will then spend the next year changing it again. So
Can we pass them out along with the strategic plan?
you can put it in a Kleenex box and pull it out whenever you need to. So yes, sir. So with that, I'm going to ask Connie to come up and do a little show and tell if that's okay with you.
I'd rather that you sent the employee of the year up here.
Would the employee of the year please come up to the front? I'm just going to set it up so that you're on the home page or the map page. Well, I'll start it off here so you can show them how to get there. And it's sharing. And how do I share?
Was there a before and after in the packet?
The before is right next to it.
Oh, there we go.
And then this is the one that you have in front of you in
Okay.
paper copy. Very possible during the last hearing I hung up on all of you. Not on purpose.
And Dan, when you're ready, I do have a question about the map.
Yes, sir.
I see on there that there's the Alpine dealership outlined in the Carl Malone Power Sport that are on the map, already designated on the map. My question is why, and because I don't think we haven't, that hasn't been presented to us or briefed.
That's actually a good point. It's a layer that's turned on that needs to be turned off when we actually post and have the mayor sign it. That was really, if you and Connie will show this, there's a map that shows a lot of ongoing and current developments that are going to be coming before you so that the public knows what we're reviewing, what we're discussing. And that's probably one of the ones that's under pre-application or waiting for a formal review. So excellent catch, and we'll make sure that layer's turned off before we print it again.
Yeah, because that's leading to.
Yeah, we're not circumventing the public process.
And why isn't Higbee and Jackson Creek Parkway open space?
I'm sorry, what?
Why isn't that open space?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's not, because that's not the zoning for it. Yeah, so go ahead, take them through.
Hiya.
Hello.
Hiya, Mayor and council members. So I'm assuming you all could see the screen. So you can see it's not being shared to you all.
The Bcaster is broken, whatever that is.
Oh, it's the Monument website. Okay, cool. Sorry, a little miscommunication. So from the Monument website, you can go down to this handy button right here, the Maps page.
Refresh.
So from the Maps page, I pulled together some resources that we all can use that can be helpful. So on the left-hand side, you see all this text. There's information here about the county's GIS data and some of their maps and along the state's information. There's also some quick links, one right here to the Monuments map, or to the Monuments Planning Department's website. And then another one quick here to the first map, which is a town map interactive. You can find out if you live in town. So just make those convenient, right up the front. Now going through the maps, there are a good variety here. There is a basic annexation map showing the history of how the town has grown since we were established in 1879. Some maps about the cemetery. The interactive one, you actually put in a name and it'll pop up showing where all those people are buried. So yeah, if you put in a very common name like Smith or Jones, it'll pop up showing that. I worked a lot with Tina, pull it together, and we're keeping it up to date as much as we can. The council residential district map, it shows where the voting wards are and where each district is. Of course, there's the current development review project story map, and that's shown what's currently being reviewed and looked at and considered by the planning department and what they're working on currently. Then there's the electronic version of the downtown wayfinding sign map that is also displayed out among downtown for the residents and anyone visiting town to kind of help them navigate and find businesses. There's then okay, computer did something goofy for me there. So there's a couple different district maps that show different districts that are throughout the town. One is this interactive enterprise zone map, which is a zone that's put on by it's established by the state. And I went ahead and pulled information for our area and mapped that out, just our area. So you can research and say, I'm in or outside that zone. Metropolitan districts. So that's just a big overview map showing all the metropolitan districts are throughout the town. Monuments water district map. So again, are you in Monuments water or another district's water zones? This map will help establish that. Then we have a couple really basic information maps. There's the snowplow route map. This is being updated pretty much every year based on how routes are changing, what roads are becoming part of town's responsibilities for plowing. Then the town boundary, just a really basic informational map. And the town's parks and trails. So where they are, where things are located. Of course, as things are changing, that's being updated. Recently, I was hiking and found some new trails. I was like, okay, update the map. Then there's also the zoning map. There's a PDF version, a paper version, and then also the interactive one. And again, you can go in there, put your address in, see all the information. So not to take too much more time, I thought I'd quickly demonstrate the district map and some of the basic tools and how to use this. So this map is showing all the different districts throughout the town. And it can be kind of confusing when you're moving in or you're starting up a business. Like, okay, who's my sanitation district? Where's my metro district? Like, where am I? Who am I paying? What's going on? So from this, you can either put in the address up here in the top, or you can zoom into a piece of property and click on there. So let's pick something down here in Wagons West, just a random piece of property. And it pops up right away on the left-hand side, all the information about that property. So here's the property information with address and zoning code information, along with a link to the assessor's page about that map, along with acreage, square footage, parcel number, any details there. If the property's inside town, here's information to our website, phone number, address, zoning code details, metro districts, along with phone numbers and hopefully website. So hopefully easily accessible information. Council residential district, you know, where they are, who's their council member. And that's of course be updated as things change. Water district. So mine, it's water district here is being highlighted again with phone numbers. Sanitation district, you all get the point. And just try to make that a really quick, easy, accessible tool for everybody. Of course, you also can pull in, turn on different layers. So I want to see exactly what zoning codes and a couple different things here. I can turn them on. I want to see the colors relate to here. You can turn on the legend and see what colors match what. And then there is a My Location Here button. So if you're on your phone or on a computer that has a GPS connected, you can turn that on and it can show exactly where you are and you can help research that way. So any questions?
The maps are awesome.
And what it and the work that she's put into it is really going to help you as a council and staff in the future in making decisions, because we can now also look at different layers that you might think have no relationship and turn them on at the same time to help us make decisions. Maybe why a water main breaks in a certain area all the time, and we might think it's one thing, but when we start to pull up soil conditions or traffic type of trucks that might be driving over it or so on, we might be able to see things that we don't normally see. And through Connie's work, and then through public works working with our cartograph program, doing asset management and so on. This is a super powerful tool, but I wanted to show it to you tonight because you and the general public can go onto the map page and go into that zoning interactive map and pull up a lot of those layers and see the same things we see. We don't have a secret sauce in the background when we make decisions. It's public information. So I wanted the public, you, to see what Connie is creating and to show how easily accessible it is on our website. So with that, I'm just asking that you approve this year's official zoning map, less the labels that indicate future potential projects that will be coming before you. And we will go ahead and sign that and post it in the clerk's office, my office, and a paper towel dispenser near you.
Awesome. I'll make a motion.
It's a public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
First off, questions, comments from the council? Anything?
No, this is great, and I like the idea of every year reviewing it and approving a new one. I like that. I like that concept.
Yep.
Okay. I don't get the paper towel dispenser.
Well, it wasn't clean. I went from Kleenex to I thought paper towel would be easier to pull a map out of than out of a Kleenex box. Sorry, jokes don't work.
I overheard Connie mentioning that we even have more cool tools coming in relation to GIS.
It's stuff that's actually in development here. It's data collection. And it's kind of what I was describing in as we're collecting asset data that you could apply on a map, such as streetlights, signs, trees, pavements, pavement conditions. Those are all things that as Public Works is collecting that information and providing it in a format that could be put on a map. Now all of a sudden we can start, when you ask the question, well, when was the last time that road was redone? We could show that to you in a visual map rather than just a spreadsheet. So those are the tools that she's referring to.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks,
All right,
Connie.
we're going to open this up to the public. Is there anybody here in the public or online that would like to speak for or against this ordinance? Oh, Councilmember Chronic.
Yes, thank you. I just would like to commend one of our employees of the year with she's done a magnificent job, and this is great stuff for the town, and we should be promoting it mightily.
Okay, Will, anybody online?
There are no hands raised, Mayor, online.
Okay, so then we will, since someone here in town hall or online would like to give any testimony, we will close the public hearing, move on to bring it back to council for a discussion, or someone can make a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 01-2026, an ordinance amending, an ordinance amending chapter 18.03.110 of the municipal code to reference the approved official zoning map by a date certain.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Erickson. And that motion passes 7-0. All right, we'll move on to resolution number 01-2026, resolution reappointing members Peterson, Parr, and Baumer to the Town of Monument Planning Commission.
It's exactly what I'm asking you tonight to do, is to approve a resolution doing just that. I do want to mention that former Plan Commission member Green and Hours had been serving this community for a long time. I think Danny Hours was on his last term, but he's switching to a different group, a different board, or I'm sorry, committee. With our loss, which is a great loss at the Plan Commission, it brings us opportunity. So there is now one vacancy in the Plan Commission, and then two alternate member vacancies. So I asked that you and then the community look for people who want to serve on the Plan Commission and be part of the comprehensive plan amendment that's coming back before you soon, as well as reviewing many developments that are going to be coming before you this year. The resolution reappoints Corey Peterson, John Parr, and Valerie Baumer for another term. There's a table included with my memo that shows what their current terms and how many terms that they have left. And the regulations that require us to maintain and these members of the Plan Commission. So I ask that you consider approving their reappointment, and I will come back to you again in a year.
Question, is there a plan to recognize Hours and Green?
The Plan Commission did that at their last meeting. They both received some nice little, I would say, a trophy from their fellow Plan Commission members. And their trophies, I'm sorry, trophies, little trinkets. They're really pretty, yeah. And they were truly appreciated by their fellow Plan Commission members. And I don't see them disappearing. I just see them stepping down.
Could we ask that they show up at one of our meetings so we can give them recognition?
Sure.
Well, we have a joint coming up, right?
Joint study session next week.
Yep, next week, next
I
Wednesday.
think they could show up to that if they
Yeah,
could do
that'd be
that.
great if they could.
I can invite them.
Yeah, I'd just like to, because I didn't know that was going on. I wasn't really paying attention to that, or I would have showed up and
Ditto.
said something.
They would appreciate that. I'll ask them both to join us next
Just
week.
one more time.
Danny was.
Kathy will
Danny was
fight. Danny would be there in a heartbeat if he is able.
Danny was on the planning commission when Ken and I were on the planning commission. So, and Mitch too. You were on that too.
Yep.
So yeah, that was a long time ago.
Danny started the Planning Commission.
He kind of did.
He's in the original legislation.
Have no fear, Commissioner Hours, former Commissioner Hours, is now on the Economic Development Committee with the town manager and myself. So he's not going away.
Good. All right. So comments, questions from council We'll wait for Marco to get back. But if anybody would like to make a motion while we're waiting for Marco.
You'll probably
I'd,
be okay
I'd be
with
happy to
having
make a
him here.
motion to approve resolution number 01-2026, a resolution reappointing members Peterson, Parr, and Baumer to the Town of Monument Planning Commission.
Second.
Screen is all screwed up. Go ahead, just, yeah, carry on. That motion passes 6-0.
Let the record reflect that Marco doesn't care about the plan.
My mic is hot. All right, we will move on to, holy moly, this has got to do with the water tank. 02-2026, resolution authorizing filing of a petition for the annexation of the Town of Monument water tank site. Ms. Vandenhoek.
I'm actually going to let Mr. Ungerleider present this one.
Oh, okay. Marco, just so you know, we voted no for you on the reappointment of the planning commission members.
Thank you.
'Cause you don't-
Appreciate that, because I did not.
You don't
I did not
care,
approve.
right?
Hi, my name is Dan Ungerleiter.
Do we all say hi, Dan?
Hi, Dan.
Good evening, Dan.
So as the mayor alluded, this trumpets should actually sound at the beginning of this presentation. Several years ago, the town began a complex process of land and easement acquisition needed to accommodate the improvements of the town's Beacon Lite water tank property. The acquisition required for this coordination and collaboration of multiple property owners in El Paso County is complete. On December 23rd, all associated closings were completed and administrative plat deeds and easements were recorded with El Paso County Clerk and Recorder's Office. I'd like a round of applause for Mr. Cole's office. They were instrumental in that work, as well as Tom Tharnish and his team. That was no easy feat. At no fault of anyone's. It just complicated and a lot of critters to bring to the table. I said cats once and I got in trouble, so I'm not going to say herding cats. No, you can't do that. I got in trouble for that. So with the completion of this complex process, the town is now in the position to annex Beacon Lite water tank property and Beacon Lite Road. To annex the water tower property, we have to a portion of Beacon Lite Road must be annexed. The Beacon Lite water tank property is located about 1.7 miles north of the town's municipal boundary. As you are aware from our recent annexation process, there are several steps that we have to go through to annex property. Tonight, I'm asking you to, by resolution, authorize filing of a petition for annexation. The next step will be to come back before you to approve by resolution of finding that the annexation petition is in substantial compliance with the Municipal Annexation Act of 1965. That's 1 year before me, so it's good to be able to know things happened before I was born. And then the third thing is by resolution establishing findings and conclusions of that annexation. And then the last step would be by ordinance approving the annexation. Now, there are other little steps that are going to be occurring. We're going to have to work with county. There's lots of public notice that's going to be occurring throughout it. We're going to be notifying other agencies and districts. We're going to be requesting a waiver of an annexation impact report through the county. So these are just the things that you get to work on. But I'll be working with Mr. Cole's office to make sure that we get all of all these things worked through and legal and through the public process.
So I assume since this is a flagpole, that we have to notify all of the adjacent residents to see if they want to also annex in under
That-
this same annexation.
That is correct. So there'll be a letter. I already have through the magic of GIS and Connie's mapping system. I know exactly who will be notifying and providing a letter to that effect, giving them the opportunity. And I'm already working with Bob on the specific language that we want to include in there so that they know what the opportunities and what their options are if they were to choose to come in as well. So what I have here before you is just a plat. There are going to be some changes before we come back to you with the formal application where the title is going to be changed. We are confirming some of our boundaries, but this is the plat of annexation for Beacon Lite Road and the Beacon Lite water tank site.
How far up do we go past the cemetery today for Beacon Light? As far as,
We're just about the center of the cemetery. We're just north of the cemetery. Close to the trailer park. That map is correct. So
can't see it from here. That's why I was just asking.
yeah, so yeah,
We'll be just extending from the current end all the way up to the water tank.
we're actually going to be going past the water tank. We're going to be going up to the proposed annexation into Palmer Lake. So we're going to be at the south boundary of that property and down to our current boundary. We don't want to leave a gap because we don't want to have an open space that we don't know who's maintaining or taking care of that portion of the road. And that's what we'll be working through those details as we're going through this annexation.
And part of that roadway is under construct, is going to be redeveloped also.
That's correct.
Okay.
We're in communication with them not only for the road but for water main and other improvements.
Dan, why can't we go all the way up to county line?
Because it's under.
It's EPCO?
Because it's currently under an application with Palmer Lake, so we can't interfere with that. So we're going up to the boundary and stopping there. And stay tuned.
Okay.
Sure.
Comments, questions from online council or in chambers council?
And Mr. Ugerleiter, I'm curious how the realignment of Beacon Lite Road affects this annexation. In particular, like, is this staked out? Is the petition good, identifying staked out portions of Beacon Lite Road, or does it include the final product there?
Excellent question, Counselor Smith. The way in theory, and that's what I wanted. That's what we're confirming. This plat identifies the right of way that'll accommodate the realignment of Beacon Lite Road. It's going to match the right of way purchases or acquisitions that the county has recently undertaken. But I've asked our engineer who's drafted this to check it one more time, just so that way we don't find ourselves having to go through this again, or we have an error and have to start over. But the intention is that it'll encompass Beacon Lite Road as it'll be constructed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I just want to avoid the nightmare that we've had over the last several years here with annexation of the tank property itself.
Okay, well, I'm happy to make a motion to approve resolution number 02/2026, a resolution authorizing filing of a petition for the annexation of the Town of Monument water tank site. No, it's not a public hearing.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. 2 seconds. That motion passes 7-0. On to resolution adopting a 2026 legislative platform, 03226.
I'm going to do the legislative. no,
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Town Council, Jennifer Phillips, Finance Director. This is your 2026 draft legislative priorities. We did this for the first time last year. And so I basically took what you approved last year. We made some minor adjustments. But as a reminder, this is your platform, not for the staff. And so these are your legislative priorities. These are your political priorities. And what this does is it assists the mayor and the vice mayor as they're going through their legislative meetings. And also if pieces of legislation come up, it allows the staff to prepare any kind of letter of opposition or a letter of support very quickly, because a lot of times these legislations move very fast. And since we only meet every other week, it doesn't really allow us to be responsive and proactive. So that if it's in the legislative priority, if it's something you're opposed to or something you support, then we're able to write a letter or contact our legislators to let them know the council's position. Anything that's not included in here would need to come back to the council for a discussion and a vote of the majority to support or oppose a certain issue or piece of legislation. I'm happy to answer questions, but this is really for you. So I prepared this for your discussion and can try to answer, but really it's about what you want to support, what you want to be neutral on, and what you want to potentially oppose in this coming 26 legislative session.
So first off, I love the initiative behind this. I don't remember this last year, so that's my failing. I think in the future, if we can have either a study session or a discussion prior to, or is this part of the discussion? Because I don't know. I think if there's a way for us to provide you with some input before, that way we kind of minimize your time spent on kind of guessing what I mean. Some you hit the nail on the head. Great job on the ESP.
We could discuss it now and you can
Yeah.
modify it.
Well, but I guess my concern is there's obviously a lot of time and effort spent on this. And I would hate for them to spend time on this before they get a sense of what we're kind of leaning towards, especially on the AI and the cybersecurity stuff. I think the cybersecurity stuff is pretty straightforward, but the AI stuff, I'm good having a discussion now. But yeah, anyway, it's kind of, some of it was surprising to me, and some of it was obvious to me, and I'm not, especially where was it?
So look at it through this lens. These are state issues. This is not how the town is operating. This is legislation coming down from the state.
Gotcha. So in terms of, so I got the unfunded mandates. So kudos for that one, because there's plenty of that coming from the Central Planning Committee. The AI stuff. So help me out on the, because I know that there's an EO out there at the federal level that's kind of attempting to herd the cats at the state level on AI and AI development. But is this, the AI piece in particular, is this something that the state has already drilled down on and we're saying, and we're addressing it here? Or
when the legislation comes down from the state,
yep,
we discuss that the proposals, this is before it gets approved, and we take a position as a group.
Okay.
And So it's a 30,000 foot view of a
Absolutely.
position.
Okay.
So if no AI legislation comes down from the Central Planning Commission, then we don't have to worry about it. But if it does, then we have to have some type of a position on it.
Absolutely. Okay.
Well, can I?
Yeah, go for it.
I'd like to know where the statement came that the town would encourage the adoption of technologies that are related to AI along with the funding proposals, because no one asked me how I felt about it.
So
And I don't recall the rest of the council being asked. This is a net new. I've made myself pretty clear on AI, and being that the two of us represent the council and the town when it comes to legislation coming down. And we, by the way, we do have direct access to our legislators. So whether it be through our lobbyist or picking up the phone and calling Jarvis or our senator over in District 9, I'm not prepared to advocate for AI because there's still too much ambiguity coming out from the federal government, and they're attacking the state at all levels. I don't get how this was even drafted without our input.
It was exactly like this last year. And so we just used pretty much what we used last year. If you want to take it out, we'll take it out.
So this is, as much as I would like to say I spent hours and hours and hours, I literally took what you approved in 25 and put 26 on it. And
Is there AI?
And so this is your 25 platform.
Must be losing my mind.
Yeah, I'm also getting senile, obviously, because I seriously don't. Good on you. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I don't.
The whole thing is well written.
Yes.
By the way, I honestly don't disagree with. I just don't remember us discussing some of it.
And again, this is a draft. You do not have to prove this tonight. We're trying to get it before you early so that when these legislative meetings start and the legislature start, that you have access to this. You don't have to approve anything at all. You don't need a legislative platform. However, this is.
Well, it's good to have.
Yes, I was finishing that. Yes, it's very good to have. But again, this is your legislative platform. So if you want to put it on a study session, if you're not ready to discuss it tonight, whatever, again, this is just our use of what you approved in 25, giving you the opportunity to have that discussion and see what you'd like to support or oppose or stay neutral on in 26.
And also, just to further clarify, Marco, this is a position that the town takes, but there's also Woodland Park and there's also Fountain as part of our group. So that goes to a vote, and how that vote ends up is whether or not the group supports or opposes the legislative act.
Yeah, I'm not.
Say vote.
Yeah, but if,
Well, okay, not vote.
It's not really a vote.
It's a consensus.
but if we have to consider Fountain in one of the statements here, it talks about the military and how we're right next to USAFA, but Fountain, Fort Carson.
Right. And they're very pro-military, so that's never really been much of an issue. And so is Woodland Park, quite frankly.
As far as the AI piece, I'm somewhat in this disagreement with Mayor Mitch, within reason. But I do agree with him that right now on the federal level, there's some churn. So I don't know how we want to craft the language, because again, the state legislature clearly is not going to, or I would say apparently is not going to wait around for the federal government. And in fact, I did read somewhere where they want to fight the federal government on the EO. So, but I don't know how to craft the language on the AI piece. But I hesitate taking it out.
Right. Here's the good news. It may come down And when Steve and I are sitting in these meetings with Fountain and Woodland Park, and there's a bill, we don't have to, we can go against the statement if it doesn't make sense for the town.
Okay.
If it's not
Fair.
impacting the
Sure.
town, we typically don't bring it up anyway. The top two things on here that you guys rewrote or copy and pasted or whatever. Take credit for it. The support local control and the no unfunded mandates encompasses the entire thing.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what topic is below it, whether it's land use.
These two are the driving factors.
Right. That we
Okay.
that we look at that primarily about it. In fact, we also look at how it protects towns that can't protect themselves from overreaching legislation that could impact smaller towns. Like when they did you will create a technical environment where you have to go and put your agenda and all the attachments out 48 hours in advance, right? And so you look at some of the small towns, which one that's down there, the 300 people one?
Larkspur?
No, well, Larkspur, yeah, too. But they can't afford
Yeah.
the tech that even we can afford, right? And we can't afford what the state has. So we will stand in defiance of the state, even though it doesn't impact us.
Right.
Okay.
But I don't have a problem with
And I'll
that.
tell you the truth, last year, pretty much every bill was taking away local control.
Yep.
And, we lost most of that, but we try.
Anyway, I don't have a problem with passing it as is. We can always modify it. Especially after we see what happens with the EO. And I just can't remember for the life of me that we talked about the tech stuff.
Yeah,
don't really
I'm clearly
remember it
joining
either,
the
but
senile group because I don't.
We
I
did,
don't.
so.
And I apologize in advance. I don't. I love this. I really, really like this a lot. Because I do like the idea of having these two characters have a document that says, and again, yeah, they're going to call an audible, but I very much like this because this also informs our residents of what we care about, and hopefully they'll come up on voice to say, hey, I think you should add this for the next time. So I like this a lot. And yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't require anybody else to discuss it other than us. So I do appreciate that you brought it back. I was expecting also, though, the assignments. Is that going to be next meeting for board assignments?
If there was no changes from what we handed out at the last meeting, then
Okay, we were all good with
we
everything.
were all
then.
good with that, unless someone had a change.
Okay. Perfect. Then we'll just leave well enough alone and staff will be sending out letters to the various boards or emails.
If required, yes.
I think they are, but maybe
Some
not.
of them are, some of them
Okay.
aren't.
Okay, then I'll look for a motion on this resolution.
I will make a motion to approve resolution number 03/2026, a resolution adopting a 2026 legislative platform.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. That motion passed 7-0. Ms. Phillips, maybe on a quarterly basis, just remind me that we did this resolution. So next year, yeah, show me the video so I know. I can't remember that. Okay, public comments for items not on the agenda. Individuals attending in person may raise their hand to indicate their desire to comment. Individuals attending via Teams may raise their hand digitally to comment via connected devices. Please lower your hand when finished with your comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody here who would like to make a public comment? Looking at the public. Anybody online, Will?
No one online, Mayor.
Okay. Sure. All right. Close public comments. Next up, future agenda item authorization.
I don't have any items for tonight.
First of the year and
Wow, totally slacking.
You may get smacked for that.
Yeah, probably, yeah. And I probably won't remember it either.
Council comments. Anybody on council?
Happy New Year.
Council members Chronic and Smith?
Nothing for me. Happy New Year.
Nothing from me. Happy New Year.
Mr. Cole, I'll give you an opportunity to say anything if you got anything to say.
Happy New Year.
All right.
Good to
Look
see
for
you.
a motion to adjourn.
Welcome back, Bob.
Thank you.
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor?
Second.
We are adjourned.